This episode of the Accounting Insiders podcast is brought to you in part by Xero. Xero is a powerful cloud accounting software that improves efficiencies across your practice. With all client data stored on a single unified ledger, you and your clients can easily access and collaborate on the same set of books. Xero's advisor tools and automation solutions reduce time-consuming manual tasks and put data entry on autopilot. Work faster and more efficiently than ever before with Xero. Visit xero.com/accounting insiders to learn more.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Accounting Insiders podcast. My name is Gary DeHart, although it says Insightful Accountant. I am the publisher of Insightful Accountant and the host of the Accounting Insiders podcast. My guest today is Al-Nesha Jones, CPA, MBA out of the Garden State. Born and raised?
Born and raised, same county my whole life.
Oh, wow. All right. How about that? I've been, where was I? I was born in North Carolina, lived in Alabama, moved to Georgia, and have been in Georgia since I was 7. So a couple of days there.
All south.
Yes. Yeah. Very Southern, all in, all out. Although Atlanta pretty much is no longer the South. It's hard to call Atlanta the South.
Okay.
Just a lot of transition. You know, a lot of people move here from all over the country.
Got
and
it.
as you get that, right, now we're getting into a whole demographics thing. But as you have people coming in from all different parts of the country, you start losing kind of your southernness, if you will.
Yeah.
I still say yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and open doors. A lot of people who move here don't. We try. I've taught my kids, and they do. So
good.
We do what we can. So,
Okay.
but thank you so much for taking some time. And we've not met, so it's nice to meet you. I did see on your website you were in the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses. When did you do that?
I did that during COVID in 2021. Literally changed the trajectory of my business. I don't think I would have been able to do it without COVID. I had actually applied before the pandemic and could not accept it. I was invited to the program and could not accept because I just did not have the infrastructure. Yeah. And then COVID kind of came in play, maybe just for me to be able to join the program virtually with all 3 of my kids doing virtual learning and during tax season. So it was a busy time, but I credit the fact that I'm still here today to that program. It played such a huge role in how I changed how we operate today.
What cohort were you in? Because I was in it as
32.
well during COVID.
32. I was cohort 32, and it would have been the New York cohort. So I was with all New York people. I think there might have been just me or another person from Jersey, and we didn't meet in person until after we formally graduated.
Right. Yeah, mine. Let's see. So I have my certificate here. December 2021.
Oh, I was before you then. I was January to April.
Okay. So we actually got to go to New York in December. And I guess we were probably one of the first groups back.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Face-to-face. And it's interesting. There's a lot of people in the profession have gone through that program. And I guess maybe it just says something about our profession, how our profession is very open and we talk and we share resources. I think Jeff Siegel is one who introduced me to it initially. So
yeah, one of my clients told me about it. I'm really grateful that she shared it.
Now, do you still do anything with it now?
I still do some speaking with them. So I'll go and speak to the new cohorts in New York. And I'm still very close to my growth group. So I talk to them a lot. And I try to do 2 or 3 of the events that they invite us to. I try to do 2 or 3 of those a year. New York feels so close, but with traffic, it's honestly so far.
Right.
So I just have to be really mindful about when I do the in-person events. But I stay close to our leaders and also my growth group. And we try to connect as a larger group, once a year.
Okay. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Our group, well, if our group's doing anything, I'm not aware of it. Maybe they carved me out and I'm not getting invited. But there is one person who was in our group who is in the space, Sandy Petty, who
I know Sandy.
You know Sandy? Yeah. So I see Sandy. I see her quarterly. She's here in the Atlanta area. And so we'll try to grab a lunch. And she is actually one of them who is on our advisor panel. You and I were talking prior to this. But All right, well, let's dive into it. So,
Got it.
INTOIT, and then we're going to be diving into it,
You're clever.
INTUIT, right? But before we do that, tell us a little bit about your firm, your background, how you ended up in public accounting.
Yeah. So I graduated college already with a job in public accounting. I went through recruiting at my college, and by my junior year, I had 9 job offers. So I already knew where I
Wow.
was going to work. Yeah. And one of my professors, she told me the right time to go into public accounting is right after college. Getting in sort of after you've worked a few years might be harder. They do a lot of college recruitment. And she said you have the most energy when you're young, and it'll pay dividends to just work in public accounting. Even if you only made it 2 years, the fact that you've worked with a big four accounting
Yeah.
firm will be major. That's how I initially landed at a big four firm, which led me to be here. I was at Ernst & Young for 4 years, left there and went to Prudential. I was at Prudential for 6 years doing financial reporting,
Okay.
and got my master's degree while I was at Prudential. And during my time at Prudential, I had 3 kids. So 3 kids over the course of 6 years. So I was busy. I was working, but I guess I
Yeah.
was busy at home too.
Right.
And after I had my last child, I said, I don't want to end maternity leave sooner than I'm really ready, because I felt like the other 2 times I was kind of forced back to work, not because of my employer, but because I'm not rich. So I had to get back to
Got to
work.
work. Yep. There we
I had to
go.
work. And with the third one, I told my husband, I think I'm going to just try to just do something on my own and see how that gets me. So on my maternity leave with my third child, I started ACE Group, which is named after my 3 children, Ava, Savannah, and Elisha. And my ideal client was just anyone who could pay. So if you had money, then you
Right.
were my ideal client. And I was kind of willing to just do anything at whatever rate the client said was okay. It was a terrible way to start a business, but I think that's how most people start businesses. And I think that's how you really learn what you like. I was willing to do anything except tax, because I did not want to be like in this really heavy deadline driven world. Because in my mind, deadlines and tax just went hand in hand. And I had just lived 10 years of constantly operating on somebody's deadline. And clients, I would work with them and they say, oh, I really wish you could help me with my taxes. And I would say, okay, I'll help just you. And then they tell somebody else. And then I say,
Right.
okay, I'd help just you. And then within 2 years, I found myself operating a business when I thought I was just kind of starting a job for myself. And when I began to explore team members, I realized there are a lot of other people like me who need flexibility, who need to be able to work at times that are outside of that 9 to 5 window, who need something that could be remote. So finding team members wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. We were before like the 100% remote operation. But I've been fortunate enough to find employees who value flexibility, but who also feel confident in being held accountable to complete their work, even if it's outside of like a normal schedule. And today, we run a firm where our team members are all remote, although we're all in New Jersey and we're all employees, and we work a year-round 4-day work week. So it's been pretty nice. It's been a good journey.
That's great. And I think in the green room, you said it took you about 3 years to kind of get to that 4-day work week.
Yeah, yeah. So in 2020, in January, I said, this is our year. Like we're about to have the best year ever. And then COVID hit. And I can't even really account for the time. I just know that tax season was sort of a blur. And I said in 2021, we're out of it. Except 2021 is when we did the 2020 returns,
Right.
and everyone had become bi-coastal, had no permanent residence. They existed in different states all year. They had become crypto experts. They were day traders. They started several businesses incorrectly. And I felt so overwhelmed for myself, for my team. I felt like we were working with strangers. And we stopped taking new clients. And we said, you know what? We're just going to do a 3-year overhaul. We're literally tearing everything down and reverse engineering so that we never feel like we're getting surprised during tax season again. So we changed from leading with tax to leading with advisory. We stopped making it optional because we would kind of let clients add it as they wanted. But then that meant that there was some clients, most clients, that we went all year without talking to. And then we find out they moved to North Carolina. We don't even work with clients in North Carolina. We're
Ah,
very geographically focused. We like this Northeast region. So it took us 3 years to convert our old clients, our existing clients over to our new model. But in that 3-year process, we were able to change our packages, get closer to our ideal client. We were able to rehome clients that weren't exactly a good fit for us. We only brought in ideal clients. And now we barely even have an extension season because we know so much about our clients. We've been working on the tax return all year long. So when tax season comes, there's nothing you could really say that's not like something we were already aware of. So now we can work a year-round or 4-day work week without that stress and anxiety that I felt about tax season for so long. But it took us 3 years to get there.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, so much of, I think, the challenge of a small firm
Yes.
is people and that tax season. And I'm not saying anything that's, an aha statement here, but you're dealing with that tax season as a small business. Let's not even say you're an accounting firm, but as a small business dealing with, here's my workload, year round, except tax season. And, how do I scale up to that? And, but the best way to scale up to it is to not have to deal with it. And that's exactly what sounds like what you built is, hey, if I can control the client year round, January through December, then my January and February are going to be the same as my June and July because we've done all the work ongoing, right? So what does that look like? And we didn't talk about this in the green room, but so what does that look like from the client's perspective and from working with the client?
The client sees it a couple of different ways. One, I think they appreciate now having the option to either pay for their support throughout the year, or they can pay it upfront if they prefer. But it creates less of a burden that, oh my gosh, I have this large expense coming up to my accountant. So it gives them a little bit more predictability in their fees. I think the biggest part that benefits both us and the client is the communication barrier breakdown. Because now clients don't say, oh, I'm not going to call my accountant. They're going to charge me a $400 consultation fee. I just wanted help with this little thing. Because I think clients think everything is a little thing. But because they're already paying for it, now they'll ask us all the little things, which is good for both parties because now we know everything they're thinking about. We're starting to get that information in advance as opposed to, I took the money out of my retirement account. What should I have done? It's irrelevant. What you should have done now is too late. So now we're getting those calls and those emails beforehand, and the things that they would typically have gone to the internet for, or God forbid, TikTok for, they can come to us and they can ask us in advance, and then we can advise them appropriately and we can help prepare them. My best example is the clients who sell homes. I always feel bad when a client sells a home and they believe maybe there's no tax related to the gain on the sale. And then they find out and they sold the house in March and now the money's gone. And now we have to tell them there is some tax that needs to be paid. That's my favorite kind of advisory client because we get to tell them, oh, hey, we're going to help you prepare for that. And we're going to get the information and calculate the basis on your sale right now. As you're selling the house, send us the closing disclosures. As you're working on selling the house, send us the receipts for what you're spending to prepare the house. So it just sort of helps us to help them. And those are things we would normally do during tax season, and it would take us hours. And then your brain's already fried. We can do those things. If you sold the house in March, we can do it in March. And now when we go to do your tax return, that work paper is already ready for us to input it. We've already helped you calculate any potential tax, and we've helped you make the estimated tax payment. So when we get there, the client is less anxious and they don't feel like, oh, I balled up all this communication to tell you in March. And then in March, we're just panicking to get something filed, or we're like, oh, you have to go on extension. All of that is eliminated. That's probably the biggest benefit for the both of us, for the client and for my team. And then I think also for the client, they feel like they have a partner. They don't feel like I have someone who will just prepare my paperwork and tell me the results. They feel like they have someone who can say, what are you looking to accomplish here? Not just get your taxes filed on time, but are you looking to reduce interest or penalties? Do you want to put your money to work in a different way? Do you want to know the impact of how your 401k retirement can help you reduce your taxes? Because they know they have someone in their corner, they just feel much more empowered and much less anxious about what tax time means to them, because every taxpayer thinks they're going to jail. I don't know. I don't know which IRS representative said that, but they all think at any point, the IRS
Right.
is coming to get them. And
Yeah.
we spend a lot of time like calming that fear for them.
The IRS is going to be here. Yeah, not likely. They have
No,
much bigger fish to fry in most cases, I'm sure.
exactly.
So sticking on that advisory and the way you manage that. Well, actually, before I ask that, the second part of
Yeah.
that. So the advisory side, are you working with individuals and businesses, or individuals who own businesses, or what does that look like? You mentioned ideal client before.
Yeah, so we love small business owners, but small business owners are individuals. So we do
Right.
work with small business owners. I'm sorry, we do work with individuals, some of them who do not own small businesses,
Okay.
but they still need advisory.
Sure.
So our individual who is not a small business owner, our ideal client tends to live or work in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, or Pennsylvania, and they typically have multiple streams of income. So it could be um, a small amount of self-employment income. It could be freelance work or Uber or Lyft. It could be any of those things. They tend to have rental property. Perhaps they live in a multifamily home where they own some property. They have investment income. Those clients all need advisory. We have W-2 wage earners where that's their sole source of income, that even though we don't think they're our ideal client, they still prefer a relationship where they can ask questions and get advice on their situation because their lives are changing, their
Right.
family structures are changing, their jobs are changing. So they still feel like advisory is important. I think our ultimate client, that is the ideal client for us, understands and appreciates the value of having a partner throughout this tax and accounting journey. That's the client that we tend to work best with, even if they don't have a small business.
Okay. And so technology, I would think, has to be a part of that whole management process, like your tech stack. And in our
Absolutely.
planning call, we mentioned tech stack, but
Yeah.
what's in your tech stack and what does that look like?
Yes. Lots of things in the Intuit ecosystem. Absolutely. I live for HubSpot, like live for HubSpot. If they wanted me to wear a t-shirt on the back that said HubSpot, I do it for free because it it transformed the way we communicate with our clients. We used to have such disjointed communication, and then it'd be like this person spoke to the client, but you didn't know this person spoke to the client, or the
Yeah.
client emailed this person and you can't see those emails. It just felt like it was all over, and HubSpot just brought that all together for us, put all of our communication in just one place, and it gave us a place to document those conversations. Clients love knowing that it's not Groundhog Day when you speak to them again. So the fact that we have notes in there, and the last
Yeah.
time we spoke on our last advisory call, they told us they were going on vacation, and the next time we speak, we can ask them about vacation, or the dog was sick, and we can ask how the dog is doing. Those things all help to build a strong relationship. So HubSpot will probably never leave the tech stack. On the accounting and advisory front, we've only ever used QuickBooks Online. It's super important to us that our technology is cloud-based because
Hmm.
today I have the benefit of working from a very comfortable desk. But 8 years ago, when I started the practice, I worked from everywhere. I worked from the daycare parking lot, from swim lessons, from the park. I worked from any and everywhere. So cloud-based was super important. We only serve clients on QuickBooks Online. I have a small team, and capacity is a challenge for
Yeah.
us. We cannot learn 6 different accounting softwares. We cannot become experts in 6 different accounting software. So one platform, and that platform feeds into ProConnect Tax Online, also cloud-based tax side. Also important that we only use one platform, and we can do everything there. We can send out engagement letters. We can request documents securely. We prepare the tax return. We send it for signature. We e-file it. We store the documents, one screen. That information can all transfer to Intuit Tax Advisor. No buttons, no importing. I'm the kind of person that doesn't even update my iPhone. My husband has to take the phone and do it. I just have no interest in being tech support. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not good at that. I know tax, not tech. So the fact that the data just transitions seamlessly is super helpful. And then we just added Ignition to our tech stack a few months ago, and that's been really transformative because it's given us structure around how we renew clients, how we present proposals to clients, how we add on new services. And that's been helpful for like scope creep,
Oh,
because we've
right.
struggled with scope creep in the past. And then we use Asana for project management, and that's been really good for helping us to document our processes and move tasks around. As a small business. There are times where someone's not available and we need to transition work quickly, and Asana helps us do that like seamlessly. So that's also probably never leaving our tech stack.
Yeah. Do you know that HubSpot has a project management tool that's
Yeah.
built in? I've dabbled in it a little bit, but again, it's like anything, and from a tech standpoint, like you said, you're a tax person, not a tech person. I'm neither, and trying to carving out the time to understand and learn the technology is, it's a challenge. And so I've dabbled in the HubSpot projects, and the biggest issue with it is it's not seamless with its own CRM, which is kind of goofy. Like your tasks that you put into the project don't show up as tasks in CRM.
Totally separate task. Yeah.
It's like, well, it makes no sense whatsoever. But that's a whole other story. So while we're talking about technology and onboarding technology, what's the vetting process look like for y'all? All right, so you brought in Asana, but how did you decide that? Who vetted it? Who had to spend hours learning it?
Yes. So we get a lot of emails. I'm sure every other accountant could attest to that. Especially as of late, we get a lot of sales emails. I prefer to start with, what do we need the technology to do? And then work our way backward to get to the right technology. I also like to talk to my colleagues. So salespeople are wonderful, but I like to know what other colleagues are using and what works for them and what doesn't. And then I like to take an initial look. We'll do a demo call with the sales representative, full team. Everybody get on the demo call. It's 15 minutes, it's 30 minutes. And then we'll put the person, not me, but the person that will probably be most likely tied to the software, which could be the full-time CPA or the part-time bookkeeper or our office manager. We put that person to vet it. We believe that we have to try the software at least for 7 to 14 days, just to see, how does this feel? Is it easy for you to pick up? Is it intuitive? We will do training on whatever software, but it must be intuitive. It must be user-friendly. And ideally, it needs to integrate into our other software. So we will try it. That person will try it, dabble in it, 7 to 14 days. How does this feel? Is it worth us taking a second look at this or not? And that's exactly what we did with Asana. We did a short training. I want to say it was 4 hours or so. Does it feel like it could work? We already made sure that it checked the boxes on paper to what we needed it to do. And for us, we needed to be able to manage client tasks and be able to attach Loom videos to each of those tasks. We don't have super formal processes. We create a Loom video, you record it when you actually do the task, and then you let Loom transcribe what you did. And then we attach that to every single task so that someone who's never seen the task could probably complete it with like 80 to 85% accuracy.
Okay.
And then we put it into practice. Is this working? And we do weekly team meetings. Do you like this? Do you not like this? And we never do that during tax season, right? Our ideal software testing time is like June to November. Whatever's not in place by November is just out until May. We just cannot do it until May because I can't overwhelm an already small team with implementing new software. We keep a spreadsheet also of like our subscription level and our price paid, because also every year we evaluate, are we in the right subscription level? What does it integrate with? What features does it have? And then highlight which features we're using, because we don't want to underutilize it. That's a waste of resources. And we don't want to miss out on something because maybe we didn't need it when we got it, but we need it a few months later. So evaluating that at least once a year just helps us to pay really close attention to like what our current subscription level is. Why did we like it? What does it integrate with? It just helps us to keep a smaller tech stack. I like condensed tech stacks. Right. I don't need a huge one.
Absolutely. And so is that something that's it's in the calendar? So every November 1, we spend 3 days reviewing this?
Exactly. Even down to users, because sometimes I think whoever's using it, sometimes we might miss, oh, wait, we think so-and-so could benefit from it. We left our operations manager out of Asana for far too long. We're like, why is she not in Asana?
You should be number one user, right?
Be number one user. And we have the bookkeeper in there. We have tax people in there. And we left her out. And it's like, she needs to be moving these tags around. So yeah, it was just being able to take the time and do that, because we spend so much time sort of working in the business, having that dedicated time is really important to making sure that like we are running as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, that's great. So that's a great tip. Hey, at least once a year, review your subscriptions. And as you put it, I mean, it's not about, oh, I want to save $58 here. I want to make sure I'm using it correctly. And maybe I
Absolutely.
save $58, but maybe I actually have to spend another $58, whatever, just making numbers up. But,
Yep.
To get the tool to be working correctly for your
Exactly.
business or for your clients. So on the client side with technology, do you
Yeah.
work with clients at all on a technology standpoint of saying, hey, have you considered X, Y, or Z?
We do. We have an extensive onboarding process for our clients. It typically takes us about 3 months to onboard a client because we start with just access. What are you currently using? What do we need? And then we want to sort of map out their process, right? So what are you doing? How does your business operate? How does income come in? How does money leave the business? Where's all the information coming from? We want to make sure that we understood it accurately. So we're first working through that. And then we start to work through what's not flowing in the most efficient manner. Sometimes it's as simple as the client has tons of money sitting in an account that's earning 0.1%, right? We think of that as like so small, but that's an inefficient use of the client's resources. The money's just sitting and not earning any income. So those are things we think about. We've had clients who manually put data into QuickBooks because they've never explored if their software has an integration, or they're using the wrong software altogether and could benefit from a much different software. We look at merchant fees. How much are you spending in merchant fees, and could that be more efficient? We look at payroll providers. All payroll providers are not created equally. If you're
Right.
using a payroll provider that still doesn't integrate with your accounting software, or if they give you headaches, we should probably be reconsidering that. So we've helped clients reconfigure their process to streamline work. And that could be features in QuickBooks, making sure that they're using features in QuickBooks correctly, but it's also been a full switch of technology to leverage what they're already using and get their process to the place that they want it to go. And I don't think they always have the time to do it because they're so in the business, and having a fresh set of eyes also will help them to get their processes in a better place. So that's absolutely something that's important to us because it helps us to do our job better. And clients are really receptive to things that help to keep their fees steady.
Yep.
By making some changes. They're always receptive to that.
Absolutely. And I mean, ultimately, it's about the service. And, as a small business owner, I love the fact that I know that, our accounting fee is X.
Yeah.
It could always be lower, but, I know it's going to be this much money. And if
Yeah.
I'm getting the service that I expect, and, and they're doing the workload that, that they think they're going to be, if we're both getting a good deal out of it, then it's great for
Exactly.
both of us.
Agreed.
And I like the fact that, because we're on a more of an advisory type plan with ours. And it's, hey, I shot her a note this morning that she said, hey, should I be doing X? But prior to that, she probably hadn't heard from me in 10 days. So, about anything. So I think anybody that's well, one, I guess from an accounting professional, if you're not doing advisory, I don't know why you aren't. To me,
You are doing it.
right.
I bet
Yeah.
you're doing it. It's
Yeah.
more, are you charging for it?
That's actually a really good point. You probably already are advising and probably not getting paid for it, or not
Yep.
getting paid enough for it, because
Exactly.
regardless of what hat you call yourself, whether it's a bookkeeper, an accountant, a CPA, tax advisor, whatever it is, you've got a tremendous amount of knowledge that most small business owners are willing to pay for.
Exactly.
And I think then that part of that may go to the ideal client, and they obviously have to be able to afford an accountant,
Agreed.
and be able to pay X dollars a month, whatever that may be.
Yep.
But we, again, as small business owners, we need guidance. We need direction. We need somebody looking over our shoulder saying, no, that doesn't go there. It goes here.
Exactly.
But also, are you crazy? Don't do that. Do this. Right. So we talked about tech support. We talked about advisory. We talked about your firm. What's the two biggest challenges that you are facing in your firm? So the last two questions, and then we're going to talk about one other thing. Two biggest challenges in your firm, then two biggest challenges that your clients are facing, and how are you helping them?
Yeah. These past few years, one of our biggest challenges has been the ever-changing tax law changes.
Wow.
It's been tough to still feel like we're an expert at tax law changes without doing extensive continuing education. Now, I'm a believer, a big believer in continuing education and constantly being a student. That's really important. But every time we do a tax return for a previous year, and we're kind of like, oh, what was the law in 2021 and how did it change? And every year there's been a new set of rules.
Right.
That's been extremely challenging. And that's also been a client challenge because clients are confused by it. And things have shifted so rapidly that they often don't know what still applies and what does not apply. So that's been very difficult. And then we're in an election year, so I expect some changes to come one way or the other. That's been huge. Another issue has been client education. And I think that relates to advisory, but for perhaps too long, I think we've muddied what compliance work looks like versus all the other stuff. So there's a lot of unlearning and unteaching what clients have assumed was as compliance, and teaching them that that's actually a totally separate line item, and helping them to understand the difference between what compliance looks like, what resolution looks like, what advisory looks like. So just trying to compartmentalize those services, that's been a challenge for us. And we've spent years teaching our clients, but we're also teaching new clients and potential clients that all the time. And it's in our messaging, it's on our website, but it's a job. Both of those things take a lot of time for us. And that's separate from the issues we face that everyone else faces, like making sure that we have capacity and making sure that we're staying on top of our health and all those sort of things. Those have probably been the biggest challenges that I don't think we're talking about enough, at least for us.
Right.
Yeah.
So we initially were connected. Sorry, I'm going to have to look up to my screen here. About Intuit recently did a survey. It was from their firm of the future. Hold on, I'm going to look it up. I want to make sure I use the right terms and the right names. So it's the 2024 Intuit QuickBooks Accountant Technology Survey.
Yes. Wow. Long name.
That's a very long name. Let's just call it, from here forward, we'll call it the Technology Survey for our conversation. So surveyed 707 accountants and bookkeepers, and 98% say they've used AI to help clients and their businesses over the last 12 months. AI, how are you using AI?
Yeah. And I also think AI is too broadly or maybe too narrowly defined, perhaps. I think we only think of AI as like robots. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. But we're very big on automation and sort of seamlessly transferring data between our platforms. So that's always been very important to us. We are using AI or Intuit Assist. Intuit Assist exists in the QuickBooks platform, the ProConnect platform, and then also in ITA. So we're starting to dabble with the use of Intuit Assist within that Intuit ecosystem. Okay. We use AI a lot to help us with social media planning, because I'm not a tech girl, but I'm also not a marketer, despite having a concentration in marketing in my undergraduate degree. Sorry, Montclair State. So that's been super helpful, because while we do have assistance with our social media, just figuring out how to plan that out and what the right hashtag should be, that's a job. So having some assistance with AI has been very helpful for us there. And then we also use it when it comes to our meetings. We don't take meeting notes at all anymore, right? We use note takers for our meetings. They take a much better summary than we would probably ever take. And we do the same when it comes to our process mapping. 2020 showed us that our processes were terrible. And we spent far too much time trying to write up perfect processes. And then every time some little thing changed, it was a whole process to sort of go back and do it. And now we just use Loom for that. We record the process, we let Loom transcribe it. And if we need to change it, we can edit the video in Loom. So that's pretty much overhauled our process workflow, and it's made process mapping a lot less daunting. And then we can even feed that to AI. How could you help us optimize this workflow? And AI has helped us to cut steps out. Wherever I can cut out 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I'll take it. I don't need a 4-hour savings. I just need a few extra minutes off of each process. And I know I can, easily shave off, I don't know, a Friday every
I was
week.
good.
Right? So
Yeah.
that's how we use AI. We're just looking forward to help us gain efficiencies, to work smarter, and to help us sort of like have a second look as to how can we make this better, a better experience for the client, a better experience for the team member. How can we reduce the amount of manual work that we're doing?
Okay. Yeah, that it's funny when you kind of start saying, well, this also is AI, this is also AI, things that I don't necessarily, well, I know they are, hadn't really thought about it, but
Mm-hmm.
I just went through a whole process mapping of how we do our webinars. And there's a lot of steps and, to go from, start to finish. And last time I did it, I did use AI, and it gave
Okay.
me, actually I did it in HubSpot
Okay.
and through HubSpot, and it gave me a pretty good outline, but then it just went in and added to it, which is good. But I am not in the habit of using that tool for all these little tasks, and I really need to get in that habit. So do you encourage clients, hey, have you looked at X? Have you tried using, whichever product to
Yeah.
help you with workflow? Do you pass that back on to clients?
Absolutely. And they often ask us.
Yeah.
We've had clients ask us as part of the consultation call, how are we using AI? Because they would love to be able to do it and just don't know where to start. And I think a part of it is just not really understanding what exactly is AI. Is it us building a bot? Or is it using the AI that's built into our platforms already, like Canva, or Ignition? Ignition will write up a service description for you right within the platform, because it used to be just go to ChatGPT for everything. And now everybody's building a little AI into
Yeah.
their own platform. So a lot of times they'll even ask us to help them to be able to incorporate it. But by learning what the client's pain points are, when we start to do our own onboarding and our own mapping out, we know, hey, this is what the client says they're struggling with. This is the biggest time suck for them. These are the platforms they're currently using. How do we help them to streamline that? Clients find that to be very helpful, and they pay lots of money for us
Yeah.
to be able to shave time off. We've been able to help clients who were having team members kind of work overtime because they were doing entry in 3 and 4 places, and help them figure out how to use maybe only 2 places to get the information, or create a custom report. The information's already in QuickBooks. Why are you tracking that in a spreadsheet? Why don't you just let us help you create a spreadsheet that we can
Right.
send to you automatically on a weekly basis? Because we already put the data in really good in this platform. You don't have to keep entering it 2 and 3 times, and then there's a mistake here, and it just becomes really cloudy. So we do think it's important that our clients also embrace it. And I think when they see us embrace it and explain it, it helps them to be more comfortable with it.
That's great. That's fantastic. I'm trying to think if there is, I don't think there were any other things from that survey specifically that we haven't touched on. They did talk about keeping up with technology is survival critical, but we talked about that and how you handle technology and how you guys approach technology. And your tech stack was kind of the Intuit stack, right? It was
Yep.
QBO,
PTO,
yeah, PTO, and
ITA,
anything else in there from the Intuit world?
the Intuit Tax Advisor platform, which is
Yeah.
fairly new. I'm
Mhm.
fortunate because it integrates with ProConnect Tax Online, so I don't have to input data. But you could use it if you weren't using ProConnect or Intuit Tax Online. You could still use it, and that's helpful because we can now even ask ITA, hey, give me some suggestions on what I can tell this client to optimize their tax
Mm.
situation. We can very easily see how strategies impact that client situation. So I don't think, and I think a lot of people go into a tax advisor thinking, oh, it's going to tell me these strategies that I never knew. And I don't necessarily think that's the case unless you've never done any advisory. What I think it does,
Mm.
at least for us, it takes it out of our brain and it just puts it there. And then it allows us to calculate to the dollar what the taxpayer could save in tax. And then we could change it, right? Here's what it would be if you maxed out your 401k. Well, I don't want to do that. I want to increase it by 5,000. Okay, great. Well, here's what it's going to be for 5,000, as opposed to me breaking out all my calculators and
Right.
overestimating. It just takes that mental load and it just puts it on the software. And I think some of us think that's like cheating, and it's not. Like the client is
Yeah.
okay with us using the software to make our job easier.
Right.
I don't think any of us panic if we go to the doctor and the doctor uses a machine to do our blood work. Like we don't ask
Right.
the doctor to start separating
Spinning
the
the
blood
vial. Right.
manually. No,
Right.
we want them to use tools so that they can come to us and provide us with guidance and their, intellect. We don't need them to avoid the tools. And I think we have to start looking at ourselves the same way. Our clients want us to use tools so they can have more of us. They'd
And
rather.
yeah, and the example you just put out there, I mean, that lends a huge amount of credibility to your work too, right? To be able to go, oh, well, that's fine. Only put $5,000 in,
Yeah.
but here's what that will do.
Yep.
But if you put 7,500, it'll do this and only cost you that. You
They
make the
love
choice,
that.
right? I mean, you make the choice, but I'm just giving you the information you need in order to make a wise decision that fits your
Absolutely.
lifestyle, etc.
Yep.
All right, so we talked about technology, we've talked about people. I do want to go back a little bit on people because that is something that was covered in the survey, and that is, how do you find people? Because we hear the talking heads will tell you there's a personnel crisis in the country. How do you find good people?
Yeah. I do think we are dealing with the shortage, and I think we've got a lot of work to do there. What's been really helpful for us, one, we love referrals. We love for people, clients, because people know people. And when you demonstrate how you operate, they can more easily picture, oh, I know somebody who could be a really good fit for this team. So we love referrals. But we also use online search platforms. And I think what's sort of unique for us is our search process. We do an initial interview, and then we do a follow-up interview, but we also do some knowledge testing. And we do that right on the call, as opposed to send this person some test and they have to do it on their own time. We walk them through scenarios that are important to us, and we're more interested in their thought process as opposed to, do you know how to use this technology? Because we believe if you've got the potential, we can teach you the technology. And we'd almost rather teach you it so that we can teach you our way, as opposed to, well, this is the way I've always done it and I only want to do it that way. And then if we decide that we're a good fit, we lay out what our next few months looks like, right? We want you to know exactly what that looks like. We discuss what scheduling looks like. We discuss what we expect from a client and what from a team member and what they can expect back from us. I think all of those things are important for someone to make the best possible decision. And because we work remote, I almost feel like we have to work harder at identifying candidates because we won't be working side by side. Right. We will be working in these little Zoom boxes, and fostering a good culture across Zoom is hard. So I feel like you have to just work that much harder to cultivate team members that can work well from totally separate environments, team members that can learn in a completely virtual environment. That all takes a lot of work. So we don't take the hiring process lightly. We take our time in crafting job descriptions that we try to make as accurate as possible, as descriptive as possible. We want people to read through the whole job description so we don't fill it with a whole bunch of words just trying to make it very long. We want people to get the information they need to decide, could this be the right fit for me? And we really take our time going through those applications from any potential candidates. And we also believe that, and this has been a hard lesson to learn, but if an opportunity is not right for someone, you hire someone and they're not the right fit, it kind of hurts both of you to just continue on in that relationship, to just hold them in a role that is not great for them. I don't think that's immediate grounds for separation, but I think it does warrant looking into, is this the right fit? Are you in the right seat? You might be in the right organization, but maybe you're not in the right seat. And I think we've also been successful because we hire humans. So we want to figure out, what do you like? We have an operations manager who is fantastic at planning events. It's what she does separate from work, and she's fantastic at it. You like that? I'm happy to find a way to incorporate that into your role with pleasure. You can organize all of our virtual events, any other things we have going on, webinars, have at it. So we try to find ways to incorporate things that our team members love at work, so that they're doing more of what they love, and something that they absolutely despise. It's okay. We don't need you to do bookkeeping and tax. You hate tax? Why don't you do more bookkeeping?
Right.
We'll get someone who loves tax to do tax. You don't have to work on everything that's a weakness. So I think those are all important to finding, but also retaining good people, helping to create an environment that they feel like they can actually thrive in.
And then we're going to finish up on marketing. So since you said, since you have your MBA in marketing, and we all know, and I'm not offending I shouldn't be offending anyone about what I'm about to say, but my wife would say, if you have to lead with that, don't say it. However, she's not here. So accountants traditionally, this is a very blanket statement, so I don't want to get any bad emails. Accountants traditionally are not good marketers because it's just not your core, right? Exactly. I mean, you're phenomenal at tax or phenomenal at accounting or bookkeeping or keeping, people, in the box where they're supposed to be from a regulation standpoint.
Yes.
So how do you market as a CPA who has an MBA in marketing but doesn't really like marketing? How do you market? What do you do? Do you have somebody on the team that does that, or is that outsourced?
That's a great question. So my undergrad, this is hopefully going to help credit my poor marketing skills. My undergrad concentration was marketing. So it's even in my past.
Okay, so there we go.
What I'm going to say here.
Well, thanks for clarifying that.
Oh, yeah, because I don't want you to think I'm an expert here. So my initial attempts, I tried to do it myself. That did not go well, obviously, for a number of reasons, because I don't even think you can discuss marketing if you have not really gotten clear on your ideal client. Because who the heck are you talking to? Who are you marketing to if you don't know who you're talking to? That's first. And that was a lesson I learned thanks to the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. Once we figured out who our ideal client was, then we could figure out, where are they? Now, how do we talk to them where they are? And we do outsource our marketing efforts, and we don't spend a ton in marketing at all. I think by identifying who our client was and then totally revamping our website and our blogs, now we only speak to them. Our social media only speaks to them. It doesn't mean that others won't find us, but if you're not the type of client we want to serve, we're not writing blogs for you. Because we don't really want you to find us. If you do and you love us, great, maybe we can work together, but you're not who we're attempting to talk to. Everything we say, the way we say it, is always going to be geared to them. Our website is specifically targeted to them. We're very big on reviews. People rely heavily on reviews, so we make sure that we ask clients for reviews. That's been a big part of our marketing. And then we pay people who refer us to clients, we pay them a referral fee. That's paid back in dividends, as opposed to dumping a ton of money in clicks or phone advertisements or any of those things. We've just done much better. Paying for referrals and only speaking to our target market has been immensely helpful for us.
That's great. And target market, is that a specific niche, or is it that geographic area that you mentioned before?
Yeah, it's both. For us, we like professional service clients. We've identified 8 industries, which I think is a little different from a niche. I feel like when people think niche, they think of like, you only like one industry. Like, no, we like 8, right? And we tell exactly what clients we like right on our website. Here's how we could best serve you, right? This is why we're great for HR firms. This is why we're great for PR firms. And then we're speaking to those industries. We are also geographically focused on New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. So an even smaller market. We love HR firms in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania.
Right.
We love individuals, but you got to be in this area. And then it also helps us to be able to refer business to other accountants. And in turn, when they see clients that are a good fit for us, they're more than happy to refer them to us, because we do refer out any business that come to us that isn't an ideal fit.
Gotcha. All right. So where will you be? Where do you go event-wise? And we're going to wrap up with that.
Yeah, I love, well, now it's Intuit Connect. So I do go to Intuit Connect. I'll be there in Vegas. I love Bridging the Gap. That's typically the summertime in Chicago. That's a fantastic event. And then I sprinkle in a few. I'm not huge on being at conferences all the live long day. So I try to narrow it down to 6 to 8 maximum a year, preferably in sunny locations. And those are the events that I go to, but I'll definitely be at Intuit Connect. And I'm typically at Bridging the Gap each year because it lines up very nicely. And I did NATP this year, and that was also free.
Okay. Which one did you go to, the NATP?
I went to Orlando.
Orlando. Okay.
To Taxposium.
Gotcha. I've not been to that one. I've done some independent rep work for Canon, like the scanner division of Canon.
Okay.
So I did a lot of work with NATP and then through the IRS forums and things like that as well in the past. But not right now. Not doing that right now. But I will be in Las Vegas, which is not my favorite place,
Tell me
but
about it.
I understand why conferences go there. It makes a lot of sense. It's all right there. It's easy to get to.
Yep.
I'm not going to say it's reasonably priced, but for what you get, it's, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And find anywhere else where you're going to find a nice hotel that's $250 a night, right?
Exactly.
Now, this has nothing to do with our conversation, so we've really finished all of the bulk of our conversation. This is more about Las Vegas and surrounding. Have you ever been out into like the national parks right outside of Vegas, like up in Utah, southern Utah?
I have not.
I've been to Vegas. I couldn't tell you, probably 30 times, if not more. And not because I wanted to go, because I had to go there for work. And up until 2 years ago, did not realize how close Zion National Park is to Las Vegas. I was there in December of 2 years ago because I was actually out in Vegas for the Drake user group.
Okay.
And I think it was Drake, pretty sure it was that. But I had a weekend in between two conferences.
Okay.
And it's basically about a 2 to 2.5 hour drive. And it is a phenomenal park. It's not huge, at least the area I was in isn't big, but I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. It is super cool. If you can build that into a trip,
I got it.
So well worth it. And but again, had been out there. I really think I've probably been to Vegas 30 times and was not aware that little gem was, 2 hour drive away.
I appreciate it.
So I highly recommend it. And going off season versus like a buddy of mine. This is the only reason I ended up knowing about it. A buddy of mine was out there, went there in July, and he said it was horrible in July. There's just so many people.
Okay.
In December, there was nobody there. It was amazing.
Okay.
So that is my public service announcement for our nation's national parks that I've been to. Well, that, and I guess Grand Canyon. That are not too far from Vegas. So, well, maybe we'll connect in Las Vegas. I hope to meet you there personally. Since
yes,
we'll
connect. Connect. You're very clever.
How do you like that? Right? It just happens that way. So, all right, Al-Nesha, it was great meeting you. I enjoyed the conversation, and we'll let you know when this goes live.
You got it. Thank you so much, Gary. I appreciate it.
Alrighty,
be well. Bye-bye.